leverage on the opportunity that presents itself, and why the state of Andhra Pradesh specifically has the advantage of positioning itself as a petrochemical hub. But before I get to my panelists, let me address that very same question to the Chief Minister. Mr. Naidu, many thanks for joining us here. Let me start by asking you about why you believe your state is best positioned to be a petrochemical hub. You'll have to use the mic, sir.
Good evening. As you rightly mentioned, there is a consistent growth in petrochemical, either utilization and downstream industries. It is continuously growing. India also is growing very fast. If you see as on today, fifth largest economy, third largest purchasing power parity. Another 2 years' time or 3 years' time maximum, India will become third largest economy. Our Honorable Prime Minister is promoting, and in a big way, not only one or two sectors, overall development of the country. Now growth rate is very impressive. Even people are projecting by 2028 incremental growth rate. Compared to any other country, India will be the highest. So with all these things, again, petrochemicals is growing at the rate of CAGR 7.3%. Even in India, it is growing better than that. So by even contributors for India, 6% to GDP, 5 million people employment, investments also 87 billion, and also by 2040, around 1 trillion industry. These are all very important notable points. As on today, we are having Visakhapatnam, HPCL or BPCL? HPCL. And also now BPCL is coming to Ramayanpatnam. That is what we are working with them. Already started around 90,000 crores. And if they bring partners, it will be better than that. So if you can see in all round, petrochemical is inevitable. But sustainability, how to go for innovation, and also creativity, downstream industries, how far we can reach. We have to balance long term, short term. Some people may have some doubts about green energy is coming. Is there any impact? According to me, there won't be much impact. Parallelly, either green energy and also petrochemical will move forward. That is what is showing as on today. So that is where, for me, personal gain is employment, contribution to my GSDP, and also economy will boost. That is the work we are doing now. Once port BPCL is coming, then port will be viable. Then that port will become Ramayanpatnam will become a township itself. We are having sea coast, nearly 1,000 kilometers. As on today, 5-6 good ports are there. Another 3 ports are under construction. Around 10 ports will come. For petrochemicals, compulsorily port is necessary. So with the next one is not only BPCL, petrochemical, and also other industry will come. Then automatically that ecosystem will emerge. That is the biggest advantage we are going to gain. That's why we are promoting, not only promoting, but they are also showing interest. Andhra is the best. I am very happy. It is a win-win situation.
Well, yes, I would imagine that it should be a win-win situation, but making it a win-win situation will also mean that the government will perhaps be looking at incentivizing investment, incentivizing industry. Are you looking at any specific incentives, Mr. Naidu, to draw in investment into the petrochemical space?
Better my friend has to tell that.
Mr. Singh, let's address the issue, and of course also the dilemma that the Chief Minister spoke of. Energy consumption, energy demand in India growing at 7 to 8% and is expected to grow even further. We do have a significant renewable energy target as well, along with, of course, the existing fossil fuel driven energy. What do you see as the mix going forward? But more importantly, as the Chief Minister was pointing out, leveraging Andhra Pradesh's strengths to ensure that investment moves there.
Thank you, Shirin. First of all, let me thank Honorable CM for inviting me here and put our perspective. As was explained by Honorable CM then about the advantages what Andhra is having. So Andhra is having the geographical as well as demographical in a kind of human resource, the culture of working. I think this is a tremendous kind of opportunities in the state of Andhra. We had been present in Andhra for quite some time, almost about 3 decades, and we find that it has been one of the most conducive state in that. Let me thank Honorable CM from core of my heart that I met almost about a few months back, and I came to meet him only for 5 minutes, but I think that lasted for about an hour, and I could get a clear kind of mentoring in that meeting more than anything else, that what we are thinking, that how the green energy can be utilized. And let me just try to put forward here the point is that now the energy we have studied in our school that energy can be transformed from one form to the other form. So till now we had been only talking about how to convert the molecule into electron as far as the electricity is concerned. And now we are dreaming rather than we are putting action that how the electron can be converted into molecule. Yes. And that molecule will be kind of will be served as a kind of the petrochemical also. And the as you know very well that the foundation stone for the first hydrogen hub in the country was laid by Honorable PM, I think then with all kind of support and persistence from Honorable CM. About a month, not even a month back, then as recent as that, this is going to be the first hydrogen hub. And this is going to be green chemicals coming out of that. And once you are having the chemical, the hydrocarbon, the beauty of the hydrocarbon is, and I'm sure that Mr. Sani will be able to explain far better because he's a chemical engineer, I'm still a mechanical engineer, that once you are...
a nice jugalbandi going for both of you to explain that to us.
So once you are having any of the this hydrocarbon chemical, you can convert that into that. So it's not only to be the crude which need to be imported and then converted into the kind of downstream into petrochemicals, other chemicals, etc. But maybe I think soon we will have our own self-reliance on that side, and the story is starting from the state of Andhra. And what started like as an IT story in the country, similarly I'm sure that the story of this green chemicals and the petrochemicals and then kind of actual transition and the net zero will be the path which will be really enabled by this kind of.
Well, that certainly is the hope. Yes, sir, you wanted to say something.
No, I'm very happy. This is where people are talking as on today green hydrogen. Then NTPC has come one step forward. Now nearly 1.87 lakh crores investment over a period of 7-8 years. And also Honorable PM has laid foundation and backward integration with green energy, that is solar, wind, pumped energy, everything. Here if you see, one is petrochemical, one is green energy downstream industries, green hydrogen. Andhra Pradesh is having 10 ports. For petrochemical, port is required. Green energy for export, again, port is required. So both are possible, as you rightly mentioned. Now there is a huge demand also we have to create. Green, hydrogen, all these things. Now that is the future. For sustainability, we have to bring reforms in, I can say, fuel or energy. Earlier we were all talking, and also downstream industries, so many chemicals, and also other areas also. Now, as you rightly mentioned, now people are talking about green energy, then how to go for hydrogen, ammonia, all these things. If necessary, how to convert again power. This is a very interesting situation is happening today now. For that, Andhra Pradesh is the leader. 30% of green energy, green hydrogen by 2030, Andhra Pradesh is going to add in the country. We are proud of it. 1/3 from Andhra Pradesh.
Well, that is a big target that you've set, Mr. Naidu, as far as green hydrogen is concerned, and that is something that the government of India at the center has also been backing. And of course, India has the aspiration of being the lowest cost producer of green hydrogen. We've already seen a production-linked incentive scheme by the central government for electrolyzers to deal with green hydrogen. But Mr. Sani, let's take that jugalbandi forward now, adding to what we heard there from Mr. Singh as well as from the Chief Minister.
World Economic Forum, certainly on the sidelines of the World Economic Forum, where India is very much a focus. It is every single year. One of the governments, the state governments, doing a great deal of work in terms of talking about key issues, whether it is job transformation, artificial intelligence, sustainability, or perhaps even the climate, is the government of Andhra Pradesh, one of our most vibrant states, looking to really explain the Andhra Pradesh story to a global audience, certainly a lot of people over here. Nara Lokesh, who we have with us, one of our young leaders, who has a real interest in artificial intelligence and technology, and in bringing tech and industry together to benefit millions across the state. He is also the IT Minister of Andhra Pradesh. He looks after electronics, communications, and HRD. What we are talking about today is artificial intelligence for good, shaping a smarter, sustainable tomorrow. And we've got a wonderful panel with us. Matt Renner is President of Global Revenue at Google Cloud. Thanks very much for being with us. Archana Vyas, who I've worked with very closely for many years, Director Program Advocacy at the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Emily Sfelli is the Director of Partnerships and Initiatives at the Tony Blair Institute for Global Change. Thank you very much for being with us. Nara Lokesh, let me come to you first. When we talk about AI and public good, it can only happen if there is the public sector and the private sector working together. A lot of the technology comes from outside, but you have your own idea of how it will work. How is that partnership crucial?
I mean, Andhra Pradesh is always known for being at the cutting edge of technology and governance, or GovTech as we call it. In the third term of Mr. Naidu, we have the Real-Time Governance Center in place. And that was where we are assimilating all the data across various data sets and how can we use it for real-time decision making. But now with AI arriving, I think it can fundamentally transform governance. And I'll give you a few examples of what we're doing. First one is education. From being a passive learner to an active learner in the classroom. So we're doing this project where it's a 45 minutes class, and then you have a 2-minute video, which we're working with the Khan Academy. And we're coming up with 5 questions at the end and gamifying it and giving kids a clicker, a simple clicker with A, B, C, D option. And sort of gamifying it and using AI to actually prescribe homework based on results. And we want to track this data in a very, very long term. So that's one example of it. The other example is using AI in identifying beneficiaries for various government programs. That's the second project that we're doing. Third project is delivery of government services using technology. So we have an agreement where through various platforms we can now deliver, and one of it being ahead is Meta on it.
Right.
WhatsApp governance, as we call it. And we're also working with Google in a similar platform. So I think there's a role to play. Government's job is to open up and create use cases that can then be scaled up.
Yep.
But then, of course, I think the initiative will also have to be led by the innovators across the world.
In fact, Matt Renner, that brings me to the role of Google. And, before we started this conversation, you were telling me a little bit about specific examples. I was fascinated by what Google brings in terms of AI and healthcare. And I also do believe that when it comes to diagnosing illnesses long distance, using the benefits of AI, it could have massive impacts in a country as large as India. Could you share a few examples of what Google is doing?
Sure, and again, I think anywhere that you have a lot of data that you could crunch very quickly and come up with an accurate answer, AI is a great use case in most cases than not. For maternal health is a good use case that we're working in India at this point. One of the issues we had around mammograms and the time behind a mammogram was the time around diagnosis and the length of time, and how it impacted the ultimate result. Prior to AI and prior to utilizing these models, it took upwards of 5 days to get the result back to the patient. Problem with that is only about 20% of the patients came back once they got the information about this to go back to the doctor. So the AI use case we now put together is we can do a mammogram, run the numbers with very extreme accuracy within 5 minutes. So the patient hasn't left the doctor's office, right? So that's a good example of not just speeding up something for productivity, but it's a good example of changing the outcome, which I think is super important when you talk about health.
So AI actually analyzes a mammogram, it sort of diagnoses whatever it is, passes on that information to the doctor. So you've got essentially two eyes.
Correct.
One real eye, one artificial eye, be that as it may, but potential solutions and certainly a diagnosis. That's what it does, right?
In that specific use case, yes. Right.
Could you give us a few more examples of?
Sure.
Of
In healthcare, some of the things we're doing, so there's in all variations, right? There'll be some opportunities to look into AlphaFold, which again is genomic 3D imaging, where you can that was released by DeepMind within Google, but ultimately is pattern. That's a public global scenario that Demis Hassabis, and I know he's having a chance to meet with Bill Gates this week, but Demis had won the Nobel Peace Prize for this, right? Ultimately, yes. He and Mr. Jumper as well on our team. So a fantastic example where that's more just for research, as you're digging into research. When you get into diagnosis, and I gave that example for a mammogram, but even the diagnosis around cancer itself. So the contouring process where you're going to apply radiation usually takes somewhere between 7 or 8 hours for a technician to go through all of your slides, all of your pictures, if you will, to find what's the healthy tissue versus the cancerous tissue and where to apply the radiation. By applying AI models to that, in this specific case, you could take that down into about a third the time, even a quarter the time. Why does that matter? More time with the patient, see more patients, diagnose more patients, right? At the end of the day, and when you're dealing with India, right, with this incredible number of people that have to go through, a lot of times it's the bottlenecks that you run into that we're trying to clear when you talk about healthcare. So probably an example there which bleeds into treatment as well, but that from that effect.
Nara Lokesh, how would you roll something out like this, where every last district potentially has access to an AI diagnosis to speed up treatment of patients?
If you look at it, there are a few tools that have come out where by doing just a facial scan and using AI, the basic health parameters actually can be captured. And a few of them are under FDA review. So there is a potential to actually roll this out for every citizen. And this is a great way of democratizing healthcare in that sense, and doing pre-diagnosis of this. And then, of course, deploying all the tools that you just explained. That's post a test. So can we look at preventive healthcare proactively? And I think that's where AI can play a very, very important role. And what I just shared is one of the tools that's under consideration.
Yeah.